Today on Locked On Red Wings, time is running out as Detroit drops another important game to Washington and are now 3 points out of the final wildcard spot.
You're Locked On Red Wings, your daily podcast on the Detroit Red Wings, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back to the Locked On Red Wings podcast. We are your hosts, Brian Fisher and Scotty Bentley. Scotty's the host over at Locked On Tigers, as well as a writer for C&G newspapers, while I am a color commentator for Oakland University ACHA D1 men's hockey. And on today's episode, we're going to recap the Red Wings' 4-1 loss to the Washington Capitals, another game that was competitive until it wasn't. But before we can get to that, I got to let you guys know today's episode is brought to you by Monarch Money. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONNHL at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. Also want to thank you guys for making Locked On Red Wings your first listen every day. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. All right, Scotty, let's just dive right into this loss. 4-1 loss in Washington. Just giving up what was, again, a competitive game until they gave up they didn't give up the lead, but they gave up the go-ahead goal in the third period. Things unraveled. What were your what's your first thought at the conclusion of this hockey game?
Well, I think, honestly, my first thought was probably to continue scoreboard watching around the league. What was probably the first thing I did was immediately just go and the Rangers ended up losing. Yeah. So you have that going for you, but I don't think Ottawa ended up going your way.
Montreal won that one 6-3. So Montreal's now sitting in the second wild card.
That game was like 1-1 in the second at one point. Anyway. Yeah, man, like I think anytime your game ends and you immediately go, oh, I hope, this laundry list of teams ended up losing so that this doesn't suck as bad. Like, it's not a good place to be in. And that's just where the Wings have been for a while. I think my first thought wasn't even like game related. Like, it wasn't even on the actual product on the ice. It was just, you got an uphill battle, man. Like, not only do you just need a win, period, just because you need a win because you've barely done it since the Four Nations break, but as we have and all media has reiterated about 50 million times, you have an incredibly difficult schedule the rest of the way, and it's not like it's going to get easier. It's not like you have like a gimme game around the corner. So, that's just the cards you were dealt. You gotta dig your heels in and go get a win somewhere if you want any chance of saving this sinking ship.
Yeah, I mean, my first thought was in a similar vein. Time is running out, right? Like, this was an opportunity the Red Wings had to gain ground. You win, you gain ground. I know I tweeted out a scenario where they could end up in the second wild card if things go right? They needed to win, and you needed Montreal and the Rangers to lose in regulation. Well, the Rangers did end up losing in regulation, so you would be sitting 1 point out of a wild card spot because Montreal moved into that second wild card. You'd be 1 point back of them. But because you lost again and you failed to win another big game, you're now down 3 points out of the final wild card, and I think there's 14 games left. You're running out of time to get back in there. And frankly, Scotty, and you said it before we recorded, I'm surprised this wasn't your first thought. I thought that I agree with what you had said in that this team just doesn't have the bodies. Like, this team is just not good enough to make the playoffs. And not that they played a poor game. It was a very good game up until the wheels fell off, but that's something we've said time and time again. At some point in every one of these crucial games down the stretch here for the Red Wings, the wheels have fallen off. Now, could they turn around and have a great April like they did last year and make it close? Sure, but they have the toughest schedule in the NHL, and if you make the playoffs, these are the types of teams you're going to end up playing. If you are the second wild card, you likely are playing the Capitals in the first round. So it's just my first thought was that like time is running out and that this team just time and time again proves that they are not a playoff team.
Yeah, and that is that's usually my response to when teams of this caliber lose close games consistently or blow a lot of games late, right? And that, we're obviously the Wings have fallen apart in the third period a handful of times here over the last few weeks, and it's just like, oh, like they can't finish, like they can't close out a game. It's like, well, maybe because they're just not as good as the teams they're playing. Like, obviously there's a couple of games on there that they should have won, and it's a long season, so it's not every game in a vacuum to analyze every team. But I think at some point it's just like, well, maybe they just listen to what the team says they are, man. Like at some point it just kind of, it is what it is. I feel like this is a super downer like mindset that I have going for me right now and that I'm saying here. But like that, when you lose this many games and you lose them in the fashion that they have, and you're playing teams that are widely considered to be better than you every night, it's not like, oh darn, like they blew this game. It's like, no, they played one of the best teams in the NHL and lost, and they played actually a pretty competitive hockey game, but they literally are not as good as their opponent. And you could say that about almost all of the games the rest of the season.
Right.
So,
and if you're continually losing to teams that are playoff teams, then what does that say about your own roster?
Right.
So
you might just not be a playoff
team. Right. Scotty, difference maker in this hockey game. Who do you got?
Yeah, so I have one kind of cop out and then one.
No, he's not playing.
A little bit more. What did you say?
I said he's not playing.
Yeah, I said he was out. So I have I have one kind of general bland statement and then one player that I think is, if we want to get super nitpicky. I was just gonna basically say like the third period. That kind of like goes without saying. That's kind of like a cheap cop out of an answer, but we have again. This was a competitive hockey game. Like the Wings were even in shots. That they had their fair share of high danger opportunities. Like they didn't get their teeth kicked in here, even though it's a 4-1 final. Like this was a really close hockey game for over 40 minutes, almost 50 minutes. And then they just kind of fell apart at the end. My literal difference maker is going to be JT Compher because he had two beautiful goal scoring opportunities literally right in front of the net early in the game. And we walked away with 0 goals on the scoreboard. And I think this game probably looks a lot different if he even buries one of those. And, you're at 2-2 in the third period. Nonetheless, both of them.
Yeah, I can't necessarily disagree with that. The second one was a tougher opportunity. He was alone in front, but it was really tight on Logan Thompson. But the first opportunity, he beat Thompson, and then on the shot, he just rolled right off his heel. And it's been a really tough year for JT Compher. And I know that when things like that can happen and you're already having a bad year, it just tends to snowball. So I don't know. I don't know what to do or say with JT Compher. He's just been having a rough year, man. It's been brutal. My difference maker is kind of a cop out. There it is again. We said it again. Logan Thompson. I thought he had a phenomenal game. He's been having a crazy year. Yeah. Right. He's been having a crazy year regardless. 1 goal on 24 shots for Detroit. He was great in this hockey game. So it's hard, especially in a game where there was no special teams. Washington really didn't give you any. No, I'm going to take that back. Washington did give you opportunities, especially in the second period where Red Wings were playing exceptionally well, in my opinion. They had a plethora of opportunities down low in front, and they just could not bury the puck on Logan Thompson. He was playing great. So, yeah, that's my difference maker in this hockey game.
He is on the year. His record is absurd, dude.
It's like 4 losses, right?
He is 29-4-5 on the year with a 916. That will play, certainly. So, yeah. having a great year. Is going to get, Vezina votes, whether that's first place or, fourth or fifth place, we'll see. But he'll get on the board there somewhere on his hockey reference page. Having a fantastic season. The Capitals are having a fantastic season. And yeah, like at the end of the day, you can't use like, oh, we just played a really good goalie as an excuse every single game. Like you know what I mean? We talked about it when the Wings played Ottawa, and Olmark was incredible. Like that, you just kind of have to figure out how to overcome that if you want to be a good team and you want to be a playing team.
And they haven't. They scored one goal against Ottawa. They
Right.
scored one goal against Washington.
Exactly.
We're going to head to a break. When we return, we'll talk about notable performers from this game, so stay tuned to segment 2 of Locked On Red Wings. Got to talk to you guys today about Game Time. There's nothing like watching basketball live. The energy of the crowd, the sound of sneakers on the hardwood, and maybe even a celebrity sighting. Maybe he's puking his guts out on the court side like Tracy Morgan was the other night. If you want to catch a game in person, Game Time makes getting tickets easier than ever. Game Time's new feature, Game Time Picks, filters out the fluff and shows you only the best deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time scrolling through thousands of tickets. If you check the Game Time app, you will see there are amazing deals on some huge matchups coming up. Game Time Picks even highlights super deals, giving you the best bang for your buck. I was able to get one of those super deals when going to the Stadium Series. I got a seat with a price that was supposedly in the top 1% of prices compared to the seats around me. With Seat View, before you buy, there's no surprise fees and a lowest price guarantee. You can book with total confidence. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time Picks. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game time. Also got to talk to you guys today about Monarch Money. Ever check your bank account and wonder, where did all my money go? Between dining out, online shopping, and entertainment, it's easy to lose track. That's where Monarch Money comes in. Your personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money isn't just a budgeting app, it's a complete financial command center. You can track all your accounts, investments, and spending in one place, so you just stop managing your money and start building wealth. When you start using Monarch, you're going to realize just how much you're spending on food delivery and so much more. You're going to budget smarter and save more. Instead of juggling multiple apps, you can use Monarch to check your finances, track spending, and even plan long-term goals. Managing money with your partner is going to be smoother than ever, too. You can track shared and personal accounts, set goals, and stay on the same page without the stress. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONNHL at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONNHL for half off your first year. Segment 2, Locked On Red Wings podcast. Scotty, we got notable performers from this hockey game, although it doesn't feel like there's a whole heck of a lot to talk about when you only score one goal. But who do you want to lead off with here in terms of those notable performers?
Yeah, well, we talked about Thompson before the break. I think it's probably fair to talk about the Red Wings goaltending, talk about Mrazek a little bit, who got the nod again.
Fourth straight.
Yeah, I think when we were talking before we hit record about Mrazek's performance, it's funny because I feel like we kind of just have the same feeling we did before, where it's like, well, he wasn't great, but he's not the reason the Wings lost. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's just this weird level of production where it's like, okay, like this obviously isn't game changing and this isn't awesome, but at the same time, it's certainly not at the top of the list of reason that the Red Wings are losing, or that reasons why they lost this game specifically.
Yep, 100%. I mean, he made some phenomenal saves in the first and second period to keep this game tied up at 1 apiece. The first goal, he had absolutely zero chance on. Sherratt did not move his guy out from in front of it. Mrazek never saw the shot. From there, he was making acrobatic save after acrobatic save. Yes, the Pierre-Luc Dubois goal, that was a soft goal. That was a bad goal to let in off the rush. That guy was on the outside. on the outside of the dot. The shot just beat him far side. That's a bad goal to allow. But he at that point had, kept you in it for 50 minutes at that point. There's about 10 minutes left when that goal went in, and you couldn't give him any support. And part of that was Logan Thompson. Part of that's just your inability to score goals on better teams. I mean, you scored 6 against Buffalo. I mean, yeah, right. you scored 3. You won 3-0 against the Vegas Golden Knights, but they're on the second half of a back-to-back on the East Coast at that time. So it's just, I thought Mrazek did exactly what we traded for him to do, which is give this team a better chance on a night in and night out basis. I thought he did that again. The final 2 goals were just defensive breakdowns out front, which I think is a perfect segue to talk about Simon Edvinsson, because one of the things that we keep talking about with Simon Edvinsson, and I don't mean to rag on him, right? Like, he's, for all intents and purposes, he's a rookie, and he's a rookie that's playing relatively well, right? Like, top 4 minutes right off the bat. He's got, 7 goals on the season. He's, for the most part, solid. But I think in the defensive end, you're seeing, we've mentioned it before, that we're seeing the wear and tear of a full NHL season. And the one place you really notice an area of growth for Simon Edvinsson is in front of his own net. That 4th goal, the Connor McMichael one, doesn't happen if Simon Edvinsson uses his frame to box out Connor McMichael. How many goals have we seen in the Red Wings zone, right, against the Red Wings, where guys like Simon Edvinsson or Albert Johansson, who's a little tired, because you can make the same argument for him, right? Just a smaller defenseman who's feeling the effects of his full NHL season because they're not successfully boxing guys out on the net front. Connor McMichael shouldn't have scored that goal. Mrazek made the initial save, but no one was able to clear that puck out because Edvinsson couldn't successfully tie his guy up. Same thing happened in the Stadium Series game. I remember it distinctly. They scored a power play goal immediately because Edvinsson never tied his guy up. But I don't mean to rag on Edvinsson. It's just something that I've noticed. The same thing happened not against Mrazek, or not against Edvinsson, but Tom Wilson's goal, just a minute before that, happened because he went to the net and everybody was caught puck watching. Nobody took the passing lane, or nobody took him. And it was just another easy goal right out in front. I don't blame Mrazek for either of those. Those are defensive breakdowns in high-danger areas that continue to plague this team, and it's going to be one of the many reasons this team ultimately misses the playoffs.
Yeah, and that's something that is not new to the season starting. Like, that is something that we have been talking about since the end of last season, since the All-Star break last season. Like, you know what I mean? We talked about this all summer. All summer we talked about goaltending and the lack of depth on the blue line, and how those were 2 glaring issues that were addressed in the sense that they literally signed or brought in bodies to play the position, but not really addressed in the sense of, solidified higher end talent brought in to fill either of those roles. And early in the season, that was kind of the last thing on our minds, was goals given up. And a lot of that was because they were getting great production from their goaltending for the first couple of months of the season. And everybody was focusing on how, stagnant and awful the offense was. Then when that switched, we were like, okay, firing on all cylinders, winning a lot of games, team's really hot, whatever. And you have worn out your goaltending, and your bottom 4 is either just straight up not very good or a rookie. So that's your bottom 4 of your blue line, and you don't have anyone in that has been solid for 2 months now. So
right.
Yeah, man. That's why when games like this happen and we're not complaining about 4 goals against, it's well, if the Red Wings want to win games the rest of the season, they are either going to do what you exactly just said, which is they're going to have a goaltender or team defense, or preferably both, just completely turn it around and start preventing goals at a much higher clip, or they're just going to have to be the Columbus Blue Jackets and outscore their problems. And on a night like tonight, the only option was really to outscore your problems, and they couldn't do that.
100%. On the flip side, I did think Moritz Seider had a really good game. He played 26 minutes, and if there were special teams at all in this game, he probably would have broke 30. 26 all at 5-on-5. He's the only defenseman, man.
Yeah. yeah, dude. It's funny. We were my roommate and I were talking during the game about I don't know. I don't even remember how it came up, but somehow it came up that, like Jeff Petrie might be back in the next, I guess before the end of the season, over the next few weeks. And my roommate was like, oh, like, darn. And then I was like, darn. And then he was like, oh, right. The third pair is a complete disaster. He actually would be a pretty sizable upgrade over what we're throwing out there right now. So, yeah, man, like you have one consistent defenseman, and he played almost like half an hour tonight without special teams.
Yes.
It's crazy.
Segment 3 of Locked On Red Wings coming up. Scaling your business requires the right expertise at the right time. With Upwork, you can find specialized freelancers in marketing, development, design, and more. Experts ready to help you take your business to the next level. Upwork gives business flexibility by connecting them with top freelance talent across multiple industries, including IT, AI, web development, and marketing. Whether you need extra hands for a project or a long-term partner, Upwork makes hiring simple and affordable. If you need help with a marketing campaign, Upwork can connect you with a freelance expert who delivers incredible results. Posting a job is free and simple, and within a day, multiple qualified candidates to choose from. Instead of hiring full-time, Upwork helps find affordable top-tier freelancers to help scale your business efficiently. Visit Upwork.com right now and post your jobs for free. That's UPWORK.com, Upwork.com, to connect with top talent and grow your business today.
The NCAA tournament is here, and so is the Bracket Breakdown.
Locked On Podcast Network and Amazon Fire TV channels are teaming up to deliver NCAA tournament coverage like never before. Watch studio shows featuring former players and Locked On's local experts as they guide you through every upset, buzzer beater, and bracket matchup.
Stream it all for free on Amazon Fire TV channel. Search Bracket Breakdown to see it all for free.
It's your team every day.
Segment 3, Locked On Red Wings podcast. All right, Scotty. Dylan Larkin scored in this hockey game. He also won 10 faceoffs and only lost one. So he was kind of, and that entire top line was kind of on point in this hockey game. That's his 28th goal of the season, 60th point. The top line was just one of the few fastest in this hockey game that really, I felt, showed up on a consistent basis for the entire game.
Yeah, and obviously you had the goal in the first was an absolute beauty. That whole
a rebound goal?
Yeah,
in 2025?
Oh.
Crazy.
That whole setup and everything about it was beautiful for sure. Yeah, man, like it's he really consistently shows why he is thought of in as high regard as he is. Like when you compare him to Raymond, and that's not to like pin two guys on the same team that are both great against each other, but like Raymond's production has fallen off, and it's, you know what I mean? Like the goal scoring certainly has fallen off. And while Larkin, goes through stretches without scoring goals and whatnot, I think on a consistent like 82 game stretch, who is going to be better more times than not? Like that is why Dylan Larkin's the captain. Is you just that you are going to get solid playmaking and solid defense from a forward every single game. And whether that leads to more than a goal, apparently is maybe yet to be seen or not guaranteed. But you know that at least from one guy, you're going to get some pretty darn good production on both sides of the ice.
Yes. Honestly, I think I'm out of things to talk about. Like I could go on a rant about how this needs to be the season, that the off season where Yzerman really has to invest in this roster. We can't have another off season of just signing like middle of the pack players because that won't make the team any effectually better. I don't have it in me tonight, dude. I don't have it in me tonight. Is there anyone else that you want to talk about in this hockey game as a notable performer, or anything else outside of the game that you just want to talk in general?
I don't think so, man. Like,
we got 3 days off.
Yeah,
they
I was
got
gonna
3
say,
days to fix their mindset.
They don't play again until Saturday. Golly,
in Vegas.
Yeah, at least it's someone you've played good hockey against recently. That's nice.
Yeah, it's like a somewhat West Coast. It's not a West Coast, but it's a Western road trip. Because you play Vegas, and then don't you play Colorado after that too?
It is Vegas, Utah, Colorado, Ottawa. So yeah, kind of a West.
Ottawa's on the wrong side of the Mississippi. What's going on there?
That's also a home game, so that doesn't count.
Oh, okay.
Completely just assumed. Yeah, Vegas, Utah, Colorado, all on the road.
All right. So you got 3 days off to get your head straight. You also get 3 days off to watch what the other teams around you are doing and maybe gain a couple games in hand. But I mean, again, I have accepted the writing on the wall for what it is. I don't believe this team is making the playoffs. Down the stretch here, you fail. And again, they have 14 games left. They're only 3 points out. Do they have an opportunity? Yes. But are you on the outside looking in? And do you have your work cut out for you? Also, yes. So it's just, I think that we know now, I hope we would know by now, what this team is. And I don't think that is a playoff team. They have just too many glaring problems that are going to prevent them from making the playoffs. They're still missing half a decor. They're missing a good goaltender, and they're missing the ability to defend a penalty kill. So, and a true top six forward too. Let's not forget that. Like Elmer Soderblom's having a nice season, Marco Kasper had a nice season on the top six, but you're still missing a true top six winger at that. So I think we know what this team is now.
Yeah,
they're going to have to get incredibly hot.
We went into this year, like over the summer, we went into this season broken record over and over and over, highlighting the holes that we thought this roster had. And for a little bit, they didn't like go away, and we weren't like, oh, these problems got solved. They were just winning anyways, and it was like, oh, like
maybe that's what happened last year.
Right, like maybe this isn't as big of a deal as like I thought it was. And I remember coming on here and talking about like, oh, well, if Cam Talbot and Alex Lyon are going to do this, like goaltending's not as big of an issue as I thought. Or like, oh, like the offense from the top six is so great, like maybe it doesn't matter about like the depth scoring as much. And Sider's just going to play 55 minutes a night, so who cares about the rest of the blue line? Like there's all, you know what I mean? Like it just, they kind of kept winning anyways, so it was like, oh, whatever. And now I feel like when they lose, you just so clearly see the just like glaring and obvious holes that this roster still has. And
I hate to say it, but at the end of the day, Scotty, we were right. We were right with our preseason prediction. We said that we predicted them to take a small step back this year. Obviously, we expect them to be marginally better defensively, and that has not happened. But we knew the offense was going to take a step back, and it has in a large way.
Well,
you know the Tim Robinson where he's wearing the hot dog costume and he says we're all looking for the guy who did this. That's us right now. Or the fell for it again memes. Like we need the fell for it again ribbon because they did the same thing to us last year. At least now, like they're letting me embrace not making the playoffs like a month earlier. I say that now, and then they're gonna go on like a 5-game heater and be right back in it. But
I'm down. The thing is, like, I mean, I guess you're like technically, I guess, but like, going into the year, I wasn't like, oh, like they're going to be terrible. Then they're going to fire Lalone, win 7 games in a row twice, and then be terrible again. You know what I mean? Like it's.
We were expecting consistent mediocrity.
Right. Like this is still like not what I thought was going to happen. Like the season has absolutely not played out. I mean, if you want to take credit, I guess I'm not going to stand in the way, but like, I almost feel like, at least for me, that's like somewhat disingenuous even, because it's like this season has been a roller coaster that I definitely did not see coming. And I don't know, man. Hopefully, maybe the next month we'll continue that trend. I don't know.
They got to the end point, and they're getting to the end point we were expecting. Just the path they took there was a little different than we expected.
Yeah. They got the right answer. But the work they showed was really bad.
Yeah, so it's kind of nice. It's a little freeing to just kind of be able to realize, like, yeah, this is not a playoff team. It's nice. It's being able to let go. Eiserman, though, you got work to do, buddy. We're going to have a lot of conversations this summer.
Yeah, this summer's going to be an interesting one for sure.
Oh, all right, Scotty, any final thoughts?
We ball, baby.
We do ball, but we'll be back with a new episode tomorrow for the first of 3 off days for the Red Wings in the midst of this struggle. So I'm sure we're going to be highly motivated to talk Red Wings hockey for the next 3 days. Same time, same place. It's your team every day.
Every day.